Now we're going to transition to our prepared questions segment. Students created these questions before and after school as a group, and building administration approved them. These questions were provided to the candidates prior to this forum. Candidates will have 1 minute to respond to each question and will be able to use their 1 minute time extension on 2 occasions at their discretion. Candidates, if you would like to use your time extension, please say extend time. Our timer will adjust the time accordingly. Moderators, the first question, please.
We'll draw names to determine who answers the first question and then move from left to right. First question. Ms. Finkelstein. The current school day begins at 7:10 a.m. Documented studies indicate that high school age students perform better and test scores increase when the school day begins later. What do you think can be done to maximize students' potential in regards to school start times?
That's a wonderful question. I have long supported a later start time at the high school. Research shows that as students advance in age, biological changes occur in their sleep patterns. Sleep deprivation is well documented in our teens and is particularly worrisome as those of you get behind the wheel of a car to drive to and from school. The results from studies done in Minnesota, Massachusetts, and Kentucky in schools have been very impressive, and I support a change in the high school start time to be at or later than that of the middle school. In fact, switching them so that the middle school would start earlier than the high school and shift the entire school day, excuse me. Also on the topic of time changes, I would like to go on record as saying I also favor recess before lunch for our younger children in the elementary schools, with the rationale that kids will not be sitting in their warm coats in the wintertime, itching to go outside, and instead will come in, be comfortable, and eat their nourishing meal.
Time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Hirsch?
The current school day begins 13 minutes earlier due to us going to a 4-tier transportation system. By going to this 4-tier system, we saved approximately $400,000 to $500,000 per year. This savings is the equivalent of over 8 full-time teachers. By having more teachers, this allows us to stop class size from growing and keep class size smaller. We did this to keep our budget priorities as far from the classroom as possible. On the bright side, it is kind of good because it prepares you for the future when you go to college and your class sizes are larger. So I'm trying to look at both sides of the equation, but we have to save money. We had to create the class size we want the class size to be smaller. In order to do that, we need more teachers.
Thank you. Ms. Murray?
You're right. There have been documented studies that indicate that high school age students perform better and test scores increase when the school day begins later. But I need for you to consider that the later the time, you could disrupt your extracurricular activities after school, your arts, your athletics, and some people have jobs. So those are things that you need to consider. And we also would have to consider if there's any cost involved. So I would like to get together and research this particular possibility and see if it is able that we can use it in our district.
Thank you. Mr. Reed?
Yes, it's a multifaceted question with a lot of different answers to it. And I do agree there's been studies for about 10 or 15 years that say brain research, kids do learn better later in the day. So we could look at designing some type of flexible scheduling where kids start at 8:30 in the morning and maybe go until 3:30. But I'm going to go a little backwards too and say that we might even want to think about starting classes at a 0 hour, because that would allow kids to extend their political mentorships and get to them earlier, possibly get to jobs and things like that. Also, there is a concern, though, anytime you change your school scheduling, you run into the issue of how's it going to affect other schools. If our kids get out an hour late, that's going to be very hard for scheduling for sports, after-school activities. And so that's something, I think we can build a flexible schedule on both sides, possibly, but we got to be realistic. And I also know that probably 90% of the parents tonight will get up at 5:30 in the morning and go to work all the time, really early in the morning. And I think you guys got to get used to that too. So thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Reed. Ms. Beatty?
Yes, I know firsthand how difficult it is to attend a school at such an early time. When I was in high school, when I was a junior, due to financial crisis in my own school district, we had to go to split sessions. My school started at 6 a.m. And I know how difficult it is to sit there and watch the sunrise at third hour. And it's hard to comprehend, it's hard to learn, it's hard to absorb, and it's hard to process the information when you're up 2 hours before your natural sleep cycle would naturally end. According to the National Sleep Foundation, students need a schedule that is more in tune with their biological sleep patterns. It is suggested that times do not start before 8 o'clock. In a study by Dr. Wollstrom, high school start times changed from 7:15 to 8:40. And during that study, there was improvements in attendance, enrollment, alertness, there was better grades, and reduced depression. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Fayette?
You know, a lot of you showed up here tonight, and quite frankly, it's my opinion that your performance, everybody's talking about these studies, I don't think your performance should be on the backs of a few dollars. You know, Mr. Reed, excuse me, it's been suggested that, oh, well, when you grow up, you have to get up at 5:30, so get used to it. It's also been suggested, I haven't seen the facts that all this money's going to be saved because of the four-tier bus system. You know what? There's been a couple other suggestions that I have. I can propose, you know what? The smart bus runs up and down Orchard Lake Road at 20-minute intervals. $30 will get you guys a bus pass, and you know what? You can catch the bus at 8:50 in the morning, and you can start school at 9 o'clock. And guess what? If you want to stay after school and play football or participate in an extracurricular activity, you can do that too. There's also another place that you can. There's other opportunities that we can save money.
Thank you, Ms. Fayette.
You're welcome.
Ms. Finkelstein?
No, she said.
Oh, sorry. Next question.
Want to answer again?
We want another answer.
Didn't like that one, huh?
Mr. Reed, what creative ideas do you have to generate money to make up for the loss of revenue and budget cuts?
Yes. I don't have creative ideas to make up the loss of budget cut and revenue. I came here to be financially responsible. So I don't want to come up with an idea that I'm not quite sure will work and then waste more money. So I don't have creative ideas, but I do want to be financially responsible and be able to manage the money that we know we have and the money that we're going to be having coming in. A good example of this would be, we know that a law has been passed that all school district employees are going to have to pay 20% of their health insurance starting on January 1st. If we look at just the 400 teachers at the high school level, that would generate about $2 million per year. If you add all the other employees, it would generate over $4 million per year. That's not a funny idea. That's just the reality of money that we know is coming in. I would like to work with the board to manage the money correctly, make sure we use a percentage of it for fund equity, and we use another percentage of it to solve problems around our school district. So I'm not going to be creative. I'm going to be responsible and manage what I know is coming in. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Beatty?
Yes. It's difficult to generate money when you're a nonprofit, service-based type of field like a school system is. It's not here to actually generate money. But with that said, we do need to be creative with the resources that we have. One of the resources that the school district does have is Apple Island. And I think it would be interesting to take a look at how we can involve the community more in the island, get more use out of the island, and possibly actually monetize it for the school district. Of course, you would have to look at any type of restrictions that are on the deed since it was given to the school district, but an idea is maybe we could do summer camps through the community ed. We could do rope courses, zip line, orientation classes, involve the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts, and that way the community gets to actually have more interaction with the island as well. And of course, we want to make sure that we focus on the West Bloomfield Educational Foundation. They're there to help us generate those revenues as well.
Thank you. Mrs. Fayette?
Yes, I've spent a lot of time studying the 10 emerging sectors with Oakland County and my prior meeting that I had with L. Brooks Patterson. And I understand that we've attracted over 700 new companies from over 30 different countries, and I'm sure, as you can well imagine, a couple of those countries would be China and Korea. And I think that one creative thing to do would be to approach some of those companies, particularly the Chinese and the Korean-based companies, because I have learned that there are 19 school districts that have a Mandarin program. And one of the ways that they have the Mandarin program is through partnerships with the companies. So I would think that if we could enter into some type of yeah, I think you got the idea. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.